following is a presentation of the Liberty Flames Sports Network from Van Wagner. Welcome to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report from Van Wagner on the Liberty Flames Sports Network. The Flames Clubhouse Report is brought to you by Fink's Jewelers. Since 1930, trusted for generations. Stay tuned for the latest views on Liberty Flames baseball, a look around the ASUN Conference, and we'll catch up with Flames head coach Scott Jackson. Now, here's the voice of Flames baseball, Nick Pierce.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers. Glad to have you along as the Flames come in this weekend riding a 9-game winning streak. A lot to be excited about for the ball club as Liberty prepares for a 3-game series with VCU. My name's Nick Pierce. Glad to have you along. Coming up this week, we'll visit with the head coach. As always, Scott Jackson will join us. And we'll get our weekly conversation with Coach Jackson presented by Beacon Credit Union. We'll look ahead to the VCU series and look back on some of the action from the last week. Also joining us this week will be Flames right-handed reliever David Erickson, whose career has really taken off here this year, having a sensational season for the Flames out of the bullpen. And we'll talk with David a little bit later on as well. But right now, a lot to celebrate. 9 straight wins for the Flames. Liberty in that stretch has knocked off North Carolina twice. Most recently this past Tuesday in Lynchburg from Worthington Field at Liberty Baseball Stadium, the Flames beat the number 14 Tar Heels 8-4. And Liberty is just on cruise control right now. Remember, this ball club started 2-5, but has not lost a ball game since February 28th, the last game of that TCU series. And since then, the Flames have really gotten their house in order. Look at a couple of numbers that have been key from this streak. It's really been about the pitching staff. Liberty's staff in this 9-game winning streak has a 1.78 ERA. 89 strikeouts and just 27 walks for Flames pitchers during this 9-game winning streak. And then you look at the bullpen as well. We mentioned Erickson and the great work he's done, but the bullpen collectively a 1.02 earned run average during this 9-game winning streak. Landon Riley has made 6 appearances. The Flames closer has 4 saves. He's not allowed a run in this stretch as well. Erickson in this stretch, 6 appearances, 17 strikeouts, over 15 innings of work, and he has a save and a 3-0 win-loss record. So a lot to celebrate. And then also the Flames pitching staff last weekend combined for 3 consecutive shutouts over the University of North Alabama to begin ASUN conference play. Trevor DeLate really set the tone on Friday. Complete game, 1-hit shutout for the Flames left-hander, and he's got a .64 ERA, giving up just 1 earned run in his last 2 starts for DeLate. Trey Gibson has turned the corner. Flames right-hander has moved to the Sunday starter role and has really turned in some great performances his last couple of outings. He took a perfect game through 5 innings last Sunday against North Alabama before eventually leaving and after giving up a hit, and he would still get the win against the Lions. Also had a career-high 10 strikeouts in that ball game, Gibson did. So a lot to be excited about from the pitching staff. Flames made a change at the top of their batting order as well. The offense is starting to come around a little bit. You look at the last 10 ball games, the Flames are scoring about 6 runs per game. Made a change, like I said, at the top of the lineup. Jake Wilson has gone up there now and really started to produce and swipe some bases as well. Wilson, 4 stolen bases in the last 10 ball games. In that stretch, he's hitting .342, on base .386, slugging .526. Gray Betts, we saw him move to the 2-hole against North Carolina this past Tuesday. And then Trey McDyer has also taken off. 7 for his last 20 at the plate. Had a really good weekend series last week against North Alabama. So Everything really clicking for the Flames right now. They've solved their road woes, at least for the moment as well. Liberty's won 4 straight on the road. That'll be key coming up here this weekend with 2 of these 3 games against VCU scheduled to be at the Diamond in Richmond. Look at the VCU Rams. They're 9-7 on the year. Offensively, they're doing some things to draw your attention. Good on base percentage. They've hit over 20 home runs. And Tyler Locklear is the reigning A10 Player of the Week. He's having a sensational year to start the season. 9 home runs for Locklear in just 16 ball games. So the Flames will be tested coming up here this weekend against a VCU team that's also played pretty well at home, 4-1 at their home ballpark in Richmond. Their pitching staff has not performed as well as they would have liked. They have a team ERA of 5.27 coming into this weekend, but they are coming off a 12-5 victory over Old Dominion just this past Wednesday. For what it's worth, these 2 clubs have not met in a couple of years. You got to go back to 2018, the last time Liberty and VCU got together. 3-game series in Lynchburg, and Liberty swept that series. The Flames have taken the last 4 in the series all time and have taken 7 of the last 10 in this in-state series between Liberty and VCU. Sean Stifler is the head coach of the Rams. He's in his 9th season. 269 career victories there. They won 39 games in 2019, and they were hot heading into the A10 tournament. Stifler won A10 Coach of the Year honors, but then they were 2 and done in their conference tournament. It was a disappointing ending to the season for the Rams. Stifler has taken them to a NCAA regional if you go back to 2015. Also, a name on the coaching staff that Flames fans may remember, Rich Whitten, former Coastal Carolina Chanticleer, and he's on the staff up there with Stifler at VCU. Whitten was a great hitter in his day. I'm sure he's helping those VCU hitters put up some of those gaudy numbers that we talked about. So a few things come to mind for me personally here heading into this series. I mentioned Rich Whitten, and first of all, it just dawned on me that I'm really getting old. I think back that, some of these players that I've been able to watch throughout the years, Rich Whitten at Coastal Carolina, put together, like I said, some really good years for the Chanticleers on some really good ball clubs back then. But, man, it's just it dawns on you. Time is flying by when these guys are starting to become coaches themselves. Also, I mentioned that series in Lynchburg for VCU and Liberty. Flames swept the series, but the moment in that series that will always stick out to me was Trey Todd, and I think it was on opening day. He hit a home run in the 7th inning that cleared the Flame train caboose behind the right field bullpen. I mean, it was just a mammo monster shot, no doubter, whatever you want to call it. And I still remember that bat flip from Trey Todd. And a lot of the players that were on that club or guys that were there at the game, I think Alex Close might have been doing radio with me that day, and we still talk about that bat flip that Trey Todd had. In fact, I had a chance to catch up with Trey last summer during the pandemic virtually, because Trey is still in the Dodgers organization, and he was wanted to see how he was doing and working out during the summer. But we even talked about that bat flip back then. He still smiles about it. So hopefully none of the players for VCU currently remember much of that. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe some sour memories for the Rams coming in here to this weekend. Also, going to the Diamond in Richmond. For me personally, that was a spot growing up that I was very aware of because, as most of you know, I grew up in Atlanta. I was a huge Braves fan, still am, obviously a huge Braves fan. And for many years, the Diamond was home to the Braves AAA ball club, the Richmond Braves, and they would eventually move to Gwinnett County, Georgia. Now the Gwinnett Stripers. They changed their name a couple of years ago, but that's the Stripers are the old Richmond Braves who used to play at the Diamond. So this is the same ballpark, still looks the same. It kind of resembles an old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium or Riverfront Stadium, Three Rivers Stadium, all those cookie-cutter ballparks from the 1970s, about half of the ballpark at the Diamond kind of looks like that if you've never been there before, from the exterior, like if you're riding by it on the interstate. So kind of cool, kind of a throwback. It was the main attraction in Richmond when it first opened up, and a lot of great players have come through there throughout the years. In fact, I was talking the other day to Robert Goodman, who's director of marketing for Liberty Athletics, and he spent some time working with the Richmond Braves there in the 90s, and we talked about the great eight that used to play there. Ryan Kolesko, Chipper Jones, Tony Tarasco, Javier Lopez, and forget some of the others, but a lot of great players have come through the Diamond. Of course, now they're a Double-A affiliate of the San Francisco Giants with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Speaking of which, big thanks to Trey Wilson, the radio voice of the Flying Squirrels, for getting all of our accommodations set up there this weekend in the visiting radio booth. They are great hosts along with VCU. Real quick story, though, before we go to break that I think all of you can appreciate. My Diamond story from, I think it was 2016. The Flames were up there playing VCU. It was an afternoon game. I guess it would have been a Sunday afternoon because I was tearing down equipment, I should say. After the ball game, the Flames had won, and I had interviewed a player. It might have been Will Shepard. That's why I think it was 2016. 16 or 17, somewhere around that stretch. But anyway, that's irrelevant. So after the ball game, I had stayed late to post some audio, tear down the equipment, and it had been probably about an hour or so after the game, and I walk out, and VCU staff is gone. Like I said, it's not their home ballpark. They finish. They're out of there. I get to the front gate, and the gate's locked. And I'm like, okay, try the side gate. It's locked too. Stadium's locked up tight. Well, there's an entrance down by the right field line that I walk down there, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go in where the team came in. That gate's locked. So I'm trying to figure out how in the world am I not going to spend the night here at the Diamond? So I walk down the warning track adjacent to the right field line. I'm dragging my big case of equipment behind me on the warning track gravel, so you can imagine how well this is going. And I get down to the first base dugout, and I look, and I was like, oh, there's a door. I'll try to go out that way. Door was locked. Locked or jammed. I'm still not sure to this day. So I come back up out of the dugout. I'm like, how am I going to get out of here? I might have to scale a fence. And about that time, the sprinklers come on. and a la Bull Durham, we've got ourselves a natural disaster here. So I'm trying to figure out where the grounds crew is or someone in that facility that can let me out. Finally, I went up, I think, the third base tunnel and was able to find somebody over on the home side, and they were able to let me out of the building. But that was one of the few times that I've ever been locked in a ballpark was at the Diamond, and so hopefully I'll be able to avoid that coming up here this weekend. I got to finish up quick. So if postgame goes a little quicker on the radio this weekend, then you'll know why. All right. So coming up here on the Flames Clubhouse Report, we've got a lot more to get to, and you're going to hear from the head coach of the Flames, Scott Jackson, a little bit later on. Also, Flames right-hander David Erickson having a lot of success this year. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll visit with David. Stick around. You're listening to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report from Van Wagner, presented by Fink's Jewelers on the Liberty Flames Sports Network.
Back-to-back Cure Bowl champions.
Explode! The Flames have won!
Ranked 17th in the nation. Wins over Virginia Tech and Syracuse.
The Flames wrap up the Hokies.
Flames Nation, we're just getting started. Be at Williams Stadium this fall for Liberty Flames football. Head coach Hugh Freeze and the Flames are looking to win their third straight bowl game. Season tickets start at just $70, a savings of 51% from single game prices. Get yours now at lufootball.com. Now, back to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers.
All right, the Flames Clubhouse Report continues here this week as we visit now with Flames right-hander David Erickson, having a stellar year so far here for Liberty. Leads the club in appearances and has a 1.96 ERA up to this point. 4-0 record as well with a save. David, I don't know how much you keep up with stats, but all that stuff looks pretty good on paper, and certainly looking at you on the field, you look like you're pretty confident out there this year. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I try not to look at the stats too much. I try to just go out and do my job. But yeah, it's been a pretty good year. Put in a lot of work this past off season. So it's good to see it pay off a little bit.
You've been around for a little bit now. Coach has talked about your development. How has that looked in your eyes? I mean, what have been some of the things that have kind of triggered your success here this year?
One big thing for me was I got a good routine going this year. In years past, I would kind of just go to the field and go through the motions, but I understood as I got older. I kind of understood what I needed to do to be successful, and I worked with Coach Williams a lot with just mechanics and whatnot.
Visiting here with David Erickson, Flames right-hander. Tell me about your routine. What does it look like, and how different is it for a guy that's coming out of the bullpen, because you don't know when your next appearance is going to be?
Yeah, so daily throwing, I'll just kind of, like I threw the day before, I'll kind of take it easy, and then the next days I'll throw anywhere from like 90 to 150 feet just to stay loose, but not overdo it because, like you said, you don't know when you're going to throw. And lifting, we do normal lifts. It just kind of depends when you throw. Like if you're available one day, obviously you're not going to lift. But if you just threw the day before, we'll lift the next day. And it just really helps keeping the body stay in shape and feel good when you're out there.
Yeah, and mechanics, that's something else you referenced there as well. And working with Matt Williams, a guy that's worked with professional pitchers, and obviously he's got the video and the analytics and all that stuff. But still, you've got to have your body right, and everyone's got to have certain things that are working for them on the mound from that perspective. What are a couple of tweaks maybe that you guys worked at, and what have you gotten better with?
Yeah, one of the big things is he noticed that I was kind of opening up when I was throwing, and I would leave a lot arm side. So we kind of worked on, we said, showing my numbers. So like when I'm going to throw, I kind of turn my back a little bit to show my numbers, and that kind of buys me time for my arm to catch up. That was really the major thing we did. There were a couple other like small tweaks, but that was a big one. Was
that an easy adjustment for you to make, or did it take a little time?
It took a little time for sure, but it was fairly easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like it's a pretty common one for pitchers, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you see guys, even on the mound, like you can feel yourself. If you leave a pitch high on arm side, you can feel definitely a difference.
David Erickson joining us here on the Flames Clubhouse Report. Look back to your last appearance against North Carolina. 2 1/3 scoreless innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. What was it like being out there in both games against Carolina and contributing to a couple of big wins for the ball club?
It was awesome. I mean, both games, couldn't really ask for much more from the team. We hit well, we threw well, we made a bunch of great plays. It was awesome just to go out there and help the team win. But yeah, I mean, it was just an awesome feeling.
And you guys now on a 9-game winning streak heading into the weekend after starting 2-5. I mean, I think everyone in that clubhouse kind of knew that this team was better than a 2-5 ball club, didn't they?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the first couple weekends we obviously struggled a little bit, but I mean, we kind of figured it out. We started throwing better, hitting better. And yeah, Coach Jackson kind of set us down and said that he knows that we're a lot better than this. And we worked great as a team, and it's paying off.
Flames right-hander David Erickson with us on the Flames Clubhouse Report. I want to go back because, like I said, you've been in the program for a little while now, but coming out of high school in Delaware, went to Henlopen High School. Tell us about the process of being recruited, and was professional baseball on the table for you at that point, and kind of what led you to come to Liberty and ultimately make this decision?
Yeah, so actually Coach Jackson saw me while he was at UNC, and he recruited me there. So when he came to Liberty, he just gave me a call and said that he's the head coach here now, wants me to come on a visit. I came on a visit. I loved it, obviously. It's a great campus, and it was pretty easy from there. Pro ball, there was some options, but I wanted to come to college. I was pretty set on that.
What has the experience been like for you since you've been here?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, obviously the past couple of years haven't gone as I wanted them to, but it's been awesome. Like the guys I've been with freshman year, obviously winning the conference tournament. That was a great experience, especially being that young. And then the guys are just awesome. Coaches are awesome. You can't really ask for much more from a program.
This is something I'm going to start asking guys here each week. Tell me something funny that you've seen happen on the field or in the clubhouse just around the guys here this past week. Or anything this year. It doesn't even have to be in the last week.
Well, it was actually pretty funny. We were going to, I believe it was TCU because we were flying. We got to the bus and a couple freshmen didn't realize they needed their license to get onto the plane, and they had to leave. We had to wait a few more minutes for them to go back to their apartment and get their license. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Coach wasn't very happy, but hey, when you start to win, he gets over that pretty quick.
Good stuff. Looking at the VCU Rams going out on the road, kind of a split series here, a little bit different than what you're used to, but turning your sights here to this weekend, what's it going to take to kind of keep that win streak rolling and for this pitching staff to keep having the success it's having?
Yeah, it's definitely weird playing. I've never done this before, a home and away game. But we just got to go out there. They're a good hitting team, so we just got to pitch how we can. I know we're definitely a better team. We can definitely beat them, but we got to go out there and do everything right, hit well, pitch well, and just work together as a team like we have been.
All right, David, we appreciate the time. Wish you much more success on the field.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Flames right-hander David Erickson. Stick around. We've got the head coach joining us next on this week's Flames Clubhouse Report on the Liberty Flames Sports Network from Van Wagner.
This broadcast of Liberty Flames Athletics is brought to you in part by Beacon Credit Union. Beacon Credit Union is a full-service financial institution offering a wide range of products and services. Having served Lynchburg and the surrounding area for over 75 years, our vision is to be the premier provider of quality financial services, a leader in our community, and the most progressive financial institution in our field. More information on Beacon Credit Union and all your banking needs is available online at mybcu.org. Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Back to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Fink's Jewelers. This week's show continues with the thoughts of Liberty head baseball coach Scott Jackson, presented by Beacon Credit Union.
Flames and the VCU Rams get together here this weekend in a split series as we visit now with the head coach. And before we get into all the particulars, Coach, 9-game winning streak and all of that, I got to tell you, the first thing that I've been asked so much here in the last week leading up to this, I can't even tell you how many times, but why are they playing a split series? Why Richmond, then Lynchburg, then back to Richmond? So that's the first question I'm going to put to you here, Coach. Why the change of venue every day?
Well, I think, anytime the schedule starts to fall apart, with COVID, you have to pretty much give yourself a chance to find home games, number one, and find a quality opponent, number two. And so that was basically where I started. Sean was great in setting up a spreadsheet for the Division I schools in the state of Virginia, knowing that some schedules were going to get blown up, if you will, with the pandemic and with some of the protocol with some of the different leagues. So as soon as we lost another home weekend, I got on the phone with Sean and said, hey, we'd really like to play. I know the last time we played, it was a 3-game series here in Lynchburg. So it's kind of our turn to go to Richmond. However, I'd love to get, at least one home game out of it. And so Sean being, such a good guy and somebody that's easy to work with, he said, hey, let's do Friday in Richmond and then Saturday up there in Lynchburg. And why don't you guys come back down here on Sunday? And so it really kind of checked the boxes for the way scheduling works and kind of the gentleman's agreement that you have with other schools and trying to, give yourself a chance to play at home and play quality opponents, but also honor kind of, whose turn it is to go on the road. So it's a great series for us. I love the fact that we get a Saturday home game with good weather, and hopefully our guys will continue to play at the level that they have over these past 9.
Kind of a unique look as we get ready to face the Rams here this weekend. A pretty good ball club. They just had some success against Old Dominion this week in the midweek. But first, let's start by talking about your team and what you've been able to accomplish up to this point. 9 straight wins after a 2-5 start. What's kind of clicked here for this ball club?
Well, I think, first of all, we playing 10 out of your first 12 on the road is never kind of the formula you want. But it was the hand that we were dealt, or the hand that I dealt us, with the schedule. So I think you had to start there with our start. We just didn't get out of the gate good. And it kind of carried over, I felt like, to the TCU weekend. And, we just continued to do the little things and the things that we've, tried to do every year here. And that's, kind of lock in on what needs to improve and to emphasize that with our players and to show them video and to give them a chance to say, hey, this is what it looks like, and this is where we're falling short. It's one thing to be able to do that as a coach, and it's a whole nother thing for the players to be able to say, yeah, we see it, we care, we want to win, and we're willing to do some things that we know and that are obvious that we need to improve. So it started there, and then I pretty much told our team, I think you guys need to prove it to yourself that you can go on the road and play well over the course of 3 days. And once they did that at UCF, I guess maybe it kind of let the air out, if you will, or our guys settled in and said, okay, I see exactly what you're talking about. We can be really good, and we just need to go out and play and not really worry about where we're playing and who we're playing. And so I'd like to think that that's, carried over. When you have an older team and you have veteran players and guys that have won, against, some Power 5 schools and have taken you to the postseason and had some success, in the postseason, you've got the right guys here. It's just a matter of us being able to say, okay, we got to play better and we got to do some certain things in moments that are critical leverage moments in the game. And I think we've done that, especially on the mound and, some big hits over the weekend and certainly back into that UCF series. You look back, with some home runs and some big 2-out hits that really got us over the hump.
Head coach of the Flames, Scott Jackson, joining us here on the Flames Clubhouse Report here this week. Pitching has certainly been a big theme for your club as well. 3 straight shutouts last weekend against North Alabama. That's nearly unheard of, especially in today's game. But how well have your pitchers been able to attack? And if you could just kind of speak to the work that Matt Williams has done with them from that standpoint.
Yeah, when he got here, he really emphasized attacking the plate. I think you can really make pitching hard when you start really being fine with locating a ball and to certain, maybe going to the mitt certainly is a very specific thing to do, especially if you're trying to go to the mitt on the edges of the plate. And I think he really helped to simplify it with our pitchers. And, every guy is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, Trevor DeLate can pitch to the edges some. A guy like Trey Gibson doesn't have to be quite as fine. And so everybody's, a little bit different in a way that, they bring certain traits to the table that can help you win and that can help them see themselves having success, right from the get-go in the bullpen that carries over to the scrimmage that, carries over to the game. And I think if you don't cookie cut, if that's kind of a word, if that's kind of a way of saying it, and try to make, everybody's approach the same, I think you really limit some players. And I think he's just done an unbelievable job of number one, getting our pitchers to understand who they are. Like, this is who you are. This is how you need to pitch. This is what you do well. And we're going to use your strengths to be able to allow you to have some success, whatever role that may be. And let's do that and work on that and refine that as much as we can. Of course, we'll bring a third pitch along, or we'll do some things to help make you a more complete pitcher along the way. But let's have your strengths in play every time you go out there. And our guys have done an unbelievable job of buying into that and understanding that. And it's a credit to him because I think he makes it very simple, or simple as it can be for each guy. And when you have that, you have a chance to, get guys to get comfortable and settle in and understand who they are. And, here we are, I think, really seeing some of the fruits of that.
Yeah, you talk about simple. I mean, we just talked to David Erickson a little while ago on the show. I mean, there's a good example, right? I mean, a guy that was just flying open a little bit with his delivery, as he talked about, and then, they make that little adjustment there and get him in a routine, and bang, all of a sudden he's one of your top guys out of the bullpen.
Yeah, credit to David. I mean, David's always had the arm and the stuff. It's just a matter of, I think, a mentality and a confidence level with him. And he was open-minded to understanding what Coach Williams was seeing. And, this is why you're getting hit. And the ball was visible very early in the delivery. And, when you're 92, 94, but it's visible early, that velo doesn't play like you want it to. And so he stepped back and understood that and said, okay, how do I fix it? And Matt, basically, helped him see what the steps were in his delivery and to give himself a chance to stay a little bit more in line. And, now the fastball's playing better. And more importantly, he's landing his secondary stuff and throwing more strikes than he's ever thrown in a Liberty uniform. And so that's a credit to David. I mean, the other part of it, too, is I think there's really something to be said about, inherited runners. And I think he's got 7 and left all 7 of them out there. And when you can do that, it gets you guys off the field, it gets your guys off the field, and it stops an inning. And so those guys are important. And David's found a really good role for us that I think he's thriving in and he's comfortable in. And when you have those things in play, you usually have a chance to get, the best performance possible out of some kids. And he's done that for us up to this point.
No doubt about that. Coach Jackson joining us here on the Clubhouse Report this week. Let's talk about hitting real quick, and then we'll get into VCU. Jake Wilson, top of the order. Does he have a chance to stay there long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think Jake is one of those kids that he's been in the batter's box a lot at this level, and I think he's very mature and he knows what he's doing in there, and he's got to get better in some areas as far as maybe the plate discipline. Specifically, with zoning the fastball a little bit better. But I think he has gritty at bats. I think he knows the situation. Like what kind of at bat do we need here? Can I be a little bit more patient starting the game, or are there runners, out there for me to get? And I can be a little bit more aggressive here. I think if you go back to his sac fly against North Carolina, that's kind of a veteran, type leadoff hitter that's not going to try to do too much and stay in the middle of the field. And, he lifts one to left and we get a run out of it. I thought that was, kind of a really mature at bat for him. And he's had a lot of those this year. And, he's got some juice in there where, he can hit some doubles. I love having a leadoff hitter that can start the game with an extra base hit or just get on base for us and is a threat to run. And, it makes it, a little bit easier for Gray to hit behind him in that 2-hole. I like that look on Tuesday against North Carolina. We'll probably stick with that look, going into the weekend. But, there's some hot and cold that goes with the season and trying to get those guys, where they need to be in certain spots in the order that makes our offense a little bit tougher to pitch to is really what my goal is. But again, I'll go back to having older players who really don't care where they hit in the order, and guys that I think have mature approach and mature at bats for us is really what I'm starting to see here as we get into a stretch where, we've scored a few more runs than we were scoring early.
Lastly here, let's talk about the VCU Rams, 9-7 on the year. And boy, when you look at their offense, there's some concerning numbers there. I mean, they are averaging almost 9 runs a ball game. On-base percentage as a team at .402. Locklear's having a good year for them, just won A-10 Player of the Week. But then they've got some weaknesses as well. I mean, defensively, they've struggled a little bit. Their pitching, they probably like for some of those numbers to look a little bit better. What do you make of the Rams, though, when you see them on video and then look at the stats?
Well, I think I start usually with the tradition of their program, and that's a winning program. I mean, you go back to the days when I was in the CAA and Paul Keyes was there, and VCU has always had good players, and they've always had success. And so that's why you schedule them, right? I mean, that's why I went straight to Sean to schedule this series if we could, because I wanted to play, against good caliber teams. That being said, here they are again with good players and guys that obviously have a really good approach. Offensively, I think, a lot of their guys are pretty even when you look at the walks to strikeouts, and throwing the hit by pitch in there. So that's always kind of the first thing I check with plate discipline and on base ability. And this is as good as we've seen. I know up to this point in the season, just as far as what's on paper, it looks like there's some power in there with Locklear having a really big year for them. So there's some things exactly like you said that jump out at you with on-base ability plus some power and plus they've stolen 21 bases in 16 games. So that shows you there's some aggressiveness and some speed. So it's a look that doesn't surprise me, number one, and number two, it's going to be a challenge for our team. I know probably the the pitching numbers aren't where Sean would like them. He's got an unbelievable pitching pedigree and background, so I'm sure maybe the numbers don't tell the whole story with them on the mound. But it's going to be a challenge for us. Obviously, an in-state team that there's probably some of that rivalry, if you will, that goes back to maybe a couple years when I got here, and we all want to win games, and they're not going to make it easier on us, especially with 2 at their place. So it's going to take our best effort to keep this winning streak going, and hopefully our guys will continue to play at the level that we need to, and we'll pitch at that level to hopefully stymie their offense enough to be able to get out of there with a series win or a sweep.
All right, Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks, Nick.
As always, the thoughts of Flames head coach Scott Jackson are presented by Beacon Credit Union. All right, we are just about out of time on the Clubhouse Report this week. Let's take a look now at the starting pitching matchups for the weekend before we get out of here and bring you Flames baseball this weekend. For Liberty, Friday starter, no surprise, Trevor DeLate, left-hander. He'll be making his 5th start. He's 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA. He'll be opposed by right-hander Mason Delane, no record, 5 appearances. This will be his 5th start and a 5.17 earned run average. Saturday's starters for the Flames, they'll go with left-hander Mason Meyer, 2-1 with a 2.66 ERA. Michael Daly will pitch on the other side for VCU, no record, and a 5.50 earned run average. Sunday, it'll be Trey Gibson for the Flames, 2-2 with a 6.75 earned run average. Pitched very well his last time out, had a career-high 10 strikeouts. He'll go against Bradford Webb, VCU right-hander, 2-0 in 5 appearances, but just 2 starts and a 4.76 earned run average on the year. Here's how to follow the Flames this weekend. Of course, we'll have live stats at libertyflames.com, but we'll also have live audio play-by-play broadcasts of each game on libertyflames.com as well. And then Sunday's ball game will be on the radio, 90.9 FM, The Light, WQLU in Lynchburg. Friday airtime, 3:33 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, Sunday airtimes, 1:33 p.m. Eastern. So that'll wrap up this week's show. We are looking forward to Liberty and VCU coming up this weekend. Split series, Friday in Richmond, Saturday in Lynchburg, Sunday we're back at the Diamond in Richmond. Want to thank our guests this week, Flames right-hander David Erickson and the head coach Scott Jackson. For all of us at the Liberty Flames Sports Network, my name's Nick Pierce. Thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. So long, everybody.
You've been listening to the Liberty Flames Clubhouse Report, presented by Finks Jewelers. For more on Flames baseball, check out libertyflames.com. You can also follow the team on Twitter and Instagram at Liberty Baseball and on Facebook at Liberty Flames Baseball. The Flames Clubhouse Report is an exclusive presentation from Van Wagner on the Liberty Flames Sports Network.